This is the BMW i4, and it just might be the best value electric sedan you can buy. Welcome to this week's edition of Four Wheels and a Seat. My name is Alex Dalrymple, and this is my channel where I review new cars every week for people for whom cars are just that, four wheels and a seat. You might need to buy a new one and not know which way to turn. Well, I can help you out with a pretty easy to understand, straightforward review. But you don't want to miss an episode, of course, so please hit the subscribe button down below, the notification bell, and if you enjoy the video, I'd love a like. This particular model of the i4 is an entry-level eDrive35, and notice at the top I said it was the best value electric sedan you can buy, not the cheapest, because that it certainly ain't. But you do get terrific bang for your buck with this car. So you might be looking at this car and thinking, well, that looks just like a 3 Series, and you'd be 90% correct, but the 10% that's different is very different, and that's most notable here at the front with the large 4 Series kidney-shaped grille that has been controversial since the moment it was released. I quite like it. And we've got a different headlight cluster design here at the front as well, with these LEDs taking on a slightly sleeker, more swooped back appearance. Some active vents down there on the lower grille, and all up, this does, from the front anyway, look quite different to a 3 Series. The 18-inch alloys are a nice design. The door handles sit flush with the metal. That's one difference between this and the 3 Series. This car's also been optioned with a sunroof, but you might notice back here at the C-pillar, things do get a little bit different. This rear quarter window here is not attached to the door, it's separate, and that is because this car is actually a 4-door coupe, and when you open the boot, you can see that this is actually not a sedan, it's a liftback. There's a not huge 470 litres of storage space in here, but with this big opening, of course, it does make it easier to put big items like prams in. Knock down the rear seats, you get nearly 1,300 litres of space. False floor here with a bit of additional storage for your charging cables. No spare tyre, but there is a tyre repair kit. Closing the hatch, and we can see that we get the same rear light clusters that you see on the 2-door version of the 4 Series. Interestingly, big exhaust cutouts here that aren't really doing anything because this car has no exhaust. Open the bonnet and you are greeted by a beautiful plastic cover. But lift that up and you can see that not only is there a fair amount of space, they could put a frunk in here to be honest, but there's also some stuff that I can't really pretend to entirely understand. But I can tell you that the electric motor in this car generates 210 kilowatts of power and 400 Newton meters of torque, shooting you to 100 kilometers per hour in 6 seconds. On a full charge, this car will go 430 kilometers and you can get it to 80% charge at a high-speed DC charger in 32 minutes. This entry-level model has only one electric motor and it drives the rear wheels only. The top spec eDrive40 is all-wheel drive. The interior of the BMW i4 pretty much identical to the 3 Series, and that's no bad thing because it is one of the best interiors you will find in a luxury compact sedan. Being an entry-level model, it's perhaps not quite as luxe as some others, but it is still really well made, rock solid, and there's a nice mix of materials. The center console screen is brilliant, of course, 14 inches, nice razor-sharp picture running BMW OS 8.5, so there's just everything you could ever possibly want in this system and a lot of features that I'm sure you'll probably never use. There's wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, both take up the full screen and it just looks incredible. No top-down parking 360 view though, which is a bit of a shame, and that feels like a bit of an omission. Pretty much all the functionality for everything runs through this system, things like changing the interior lighting, the sound of the virtual electric motor, which was designed by Hans Zimmer incidentally, as well as the climate controls, which is a little bit problematic because you do have to take your eyes off the road to make any adjustments to the temperature in the car. Moving down, of course, we've got the big cubby here with wireless phone charging, cup holders, USB-A charging, as well as a 12-volt outlet. The lower console here is a little bit simplified because this is an entry-level model, so we do have a few blanked out buttons and controls, but we've got the iDrive wheel here giving you control of the screen if you'd prefer to use that rather than the touch screen. I never touch it personally. And a big center console bin here with a USB-C port under the lid here. In front of the driver, head-up display looks good. The digital instrument cluster gives you a couple of different display modes. You can change the information that appears on the screen. I personally like the controls in sport mode and a map in the middle. The steering wheel is interesting because it's just a little bit different to the standard BMW wheel. It's actually a bit thinner, and I really like it. I've always found that BMW wheels are just a little bit too chunky. This one just feels a bit better in the hand. The controls are really easy to use. The BMW badge has a blue outline because that is the color of electricity, of course. One other interesting thing to note is that I think this is also the first BMW I have reviewed that doesn't have some sort of an M pack on it, either being a full M car or having an M Sport pack attached. So the seats in this car are just the typical BMW seats, and I think this is actually the first time I've encountered them, and they're actually pretty comfortable. There's full electric adjustment for the driver and front passenger. They're heated but not ventilated. There's also no lumbar support. The seating position in the cabin, of course, feels very sporty, plenty of headroom, good visibility in every direction, perhaps not so great through the rear window via the rear vision mirror, but the wing mirrors are a good size and there's good visibility through there too. Getting into the back, and I do like the frameless glass on the doors. It's a very nice touch. Rear seat accommodations here in the i4. Yeah, not so great for a 190 centimetre tall adult like me. I'm behind my own seating position and my knees are pretty hard into the seat in front of me with this plastic shell. That's not very comfortable here against my knees. An extra zone of climate control back here for rear seat passengers, 2 USB-C ports. Headroom, yeah, not great. I don't think you'd comfortably get 3 adults in here. 3 small children maybe would be all right. Armrest with a mechanical cup holder. Yeah, the seating position is pretty comfortable. So look, if you're a small child, you'll be fine back here in the i4, but this isn't an adult zone. Oh, I do like this Hans Zimmer designed startup noise in this car. It just adds a sense of theatre to it, which a lot of electric cars don't have. Even though this car weighs about 2 tons, it really gets along. The power is just so instantaneous, as you'd expect. There's no hesitation. Put your foot down, it's there. You can overtake so quickly. And it's really quiet. The only noise you hear is the occasional bit of fake electric engine noise, but I really like that. Apparently, according to scientists, having a bit of fake electric engine noise actually reduces the chances of getting car sick. So there are a few different drive modes: Sport, Eco, and Comfort. Sport, look, it's a little bit touchy, I find. It just gets a little bit too happy with the accelerator, which does drain the battery a bit more. But in comfort mode, the steering is just way too light. There is no steering feel at all. So I find the best thing to do is to put the car into Sport Individual, put the powertrain back onto Comfort, but leave the steering on Sport. And I find that that combination really does give the best driving experience in the i4. Is the i4 a turn-back car? A car so good looking you have to turn back after you've parked it? Yeah. Look, no matter what your opinion is of the big kidney-shaped grille, it's hard to deny that this car is eye-catching, and I think it looks really good. It's a really good-looking 4-door coupe. So this wouldn't be an authentic BMW if it wasn't rear-wheel drive, and that really does add to the sporty nature of this car and just its overall dynamic brilliance. It is so good to drive and really doesn't feel all that much different to a petrol-powered 3 Series. And dynamically, it is just fantastic into corners and stays pretty flat. So 400 Newton meters of torque, 0 to 100 in 6 seconds. You put your foot down. Even though this is an entry-level Beamer, there's nothing entry-level about that performance. And this is an entry-level car with only 1 electric motor. It feels like it has 2. Now, when you buy this car, you also get 1 year's worth of free charging from ChargeFox. You can use their entire charging network. Look, if you can get a home charger, that's always probably the best way to go. But given this car's 430 odd kilometers of battery range, you're probably in city driving, doing 30 Ks a day, maybe only going to need to charge once a week. So if you can find time in your busy schedule to do that, then the thought of having an electric car at home really isn't all that daunting. So yes, the BMW i4 is more expensive than a single motor Polestar 2 or a Tesla Model 3, but given this car's incredible performance and dynamics, its brilliant fit and finish, I think it's worth it. It is really good value. And of course, you can extend this car's battery life slightly by putting it down into B mode instead of the regular drive mode. That allows for one pedal driving and takes power from the engine braking and puts it back into the battery, extending your range a little bit. But the best part about it really is one pedal driving, which I just love. I think this is the way of the future. One pedal driving, of course, meaning that the car will come to a full stop when you take your foot off the accelerator, and after you get used to it, it is very easy to pull up at the lights or stop in traffic without having to touch the brake. It is encouraging to see EV prices coming down across the board, and while the i4 is not exactly cheap, it is comparable with a petrol-powered 3 Series sedan. In fact, I was sent some spam last week offering me a novated lease on one of these, and the weekly cost was not nearly as high as what I thought it would be. So if you're in the market for a sporty executive sedan, take an i4 for a test drive. It is really good.